Hey guys, I know YouTube loves to show me before I even know that I'm live. So I wanted to say hello to everybody. Waiting on it to catch up. Telling me this meeting is being live streamed. Thank you so much. That's what I was intending to do. So we're going to go live. Let me clear my throat before I start here. We're going to go live early tonight. Or we're going to go live tonight. Let me get over here and mute this thing. Hey Lori, how are you tonight? Shouldn't be getting any feedback now. Is that right? Nice surprise. Yeah. Well, I came in here and I thought I'm going to work on the dragon eye quilt. I have renamed it now. It's officially the dragon eye. And I was like, well, why don't I go live while I'm doing this? So yeah, I figured we'd do that and finish this one up. Hello, Colleen. How are you tonight? Let's see. I'm going to give myself a like because I deserve it. Going live 3 days in a row. Wow, guys. Can you believe it? Ah, deep breaths. You guys see my shirt? It's got ruffles on it. Wayne went shopping for me. I guess it was last week now. And bought me a bunch of shirts. And I ordered some pants from online that are so comfortable. If you're like me and you're a big girl, Tara and Sky brand from Walmart is really, really comfortable. They aren't long lasting, but they aren't expensive either. I think that I paid $9 or $10 a pair for the pants, but I'd like to have a couple more. They're very comfortable and they're cut right. So when I tell you that I buy a specific size, that's what I buy. Yeah, they're pretty. Let's see if I can show you my breeches here. You guys can see that. They've got little flowers all over them. And they're black, and I didn't mean to drop that on the floor. So I got some little flowery pants and a solid black shirt. I feel okay. Hey, Nancy, how are you tonight? Ah, I'm just I'm in my sewing room. First time. Yeah, that brand is really comfortable, and the fabric is super soft. He got me some other ones at the store that were not as comfortable. They were made, I think they're made with like 100% spandex. And they're the kind that, well, they remind me of Spanx. You put them on and they try to, and I'm like, I don't want you to hold everything in, especially not when I'm fighting a kidney stone. That wasn't my idea of fun. You're tired. Well, let's relax. I didn't put Party Like a Quilter in my description box yet, but I should have, right? Friday night. I mean, I know we're all at home. None of us are going out anywhere, right? So I'm gonna work on this quilt, and I thought, you guys might enjoy chatting. Yeah, very comfortable. If you're actually at Walmart, Nancy, of all places, if you're actually a plus size though, my town sells out of plus sizes really fast. So I went and looked online for them and they fit true to size. The tops do, or the pants do. Their dresses, you kind of have to watch them because they have some really long dresses that every time I get one of them, I have to hem them. And I hem them big. I mean, I take like 10 inches off. I'm 5'8" and they still drag the ground. And I actually prefer dresses that come like calf length. You're doing, oh, I did mine today. Don't they look all prettiful? And I didn't use blue. This is supposed to be a burgundy, but it actually kind of looks brick. Yeah, it is a good time to visit, right? But I thought I would, well, I actually took the polish off yesterday and did vitamin E oil on them, rubbed it into my cuticles and stuff overnight. and let it sit. And then this morning, after I washed my hands, I put on the bonder. Oh, you play driving Miss Daisy? 80. Oh, you're really sweet to help her out. So did she sit in the back seat and give you a hard time the whole time? That's what I imagine whenever I think about driving Miss Daisy. And drinking my water, guys. Yeah, good time to visit while we're all kind of just sitting in our, well, I don't know where you guys are sitting. I'm in my sewing room. So I always start out, and this seems kind of pointless tonight because we just did this yesterday, but I'm going to do it again. Numbers, Colleen, 1.14 plus. Yay! Sylvie is at 822. Dawn from my quilt projects is at 903. Perfect timing, Dawn. She's almost to 1,000, so if you haven't checked her out, go check her out. Brandy at 100 Proof Quilter, 484. And guys, Wayne put up a short tonight that got him 6 subscribers, so he is at 742. And you know how it is, nobody respects you in your own house. I've been telling him forever, put up shorts, put up shorts. Well, he just started putting up a whole series of, he's calling them Viking wisdom, and they're kind of funny. I'm like, yeah, Vikings and wisdom. I don't blame you for driving her car instead of yours. Use her gas up. So he's pretty pumped about getting 6 subscribers today. And he put up a video today. He recorded it and put it up fairly quickly for one of our friends who was having a tech issue or wanted more information about how to use a technical issue, a technical program. Geez, if I could talk tonight. So he put that up, and hopefully she's had a chance to watch it by now. If not, she can watch it whenever. But he was going to just do it as a private video. And I said, you know that this person can't be the only one who ever wanted to know how to use this program. So I had him put it up as a public video so that it's available. So if you have questions about OBS, which is an open broadcast, what does that stand for? I saw it. Open broadcast something, system, scene. But if you have questions about something like that, feel free to go check that video out. And Colleen just put Wayne's channel in there for you. He does a lot of AI stuff. Some of it may not be safe for work. But, you know, he's having fun with it, and that's what counts, right? He's got a really stressful job. I'm glad he's got anything that can make him feel a bit better about it. I have lipstick on my teeth, guys. That's what it feels like. All right, so now I'm going to switch cameras and show you what I've got set up over here for us. So here's my, yep, there's Brandy's. So here's my little setup for the night, and I've got the cutting board here. I've got the iron here. I couldn't quite get everything in here, so I figured that you would rather see me and the cutting board and the sewing machine rather than the iron. And I'm trying not to move everything around because then Sherlock goes, wee! And I don't think that that's real fun for her, even though she says it is. So what I'm doing is I have got my ruler here so that I can square up all of my blocks. And this is a 9-inch ruler. And I was going to square into 8.5, but I think I'm going to do 9 since the ruler has 9. And so that's what I'm going to do. And Miss Dawn, what are you up to tonight? Put you guys where I can see you. But I'm trying to make sure you can see me. Sherlock, cover your eyes. I'm going to move it. I'm going to have to. Can you guys see me okay, or do you want me to move it? Looks like you can see that actually, so that's not bad. And then you can still mostly see me. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to center the embroidery blocks on this ruler, and I really should put the, let me rearrange myself just a hair because I put this out for a reason. You're making chisel block. I don't know what that is, but that sounds like fun. And I'm always looking for a good tutorial. And there are people who are good at teaching and people who aren't. And I like to think that maybe I am, but some people are really good at it. And Dawn, I think you're really good at it. All right. And the reason I moved that is so I could do this and use my turny thing. Still trying to keep everybody lined up though. It should make it easier to turn this cutting board, right? Rather than having to turn the block itself. Make sure everything's still lined up. And I have 16 of these to square, so I'm just working on them as I go. And I probably should have squared them up before I came on, but I thought, hey, give us more time to talk. If we get tired of talking, and we'll go do something else. And I kind of figured that this would be a nice little chat time for us all. Because I don't need to teach you guys how to square up blocks or cut sashing. I don't think. Oh, thank you, Colleen. I appreciate that. And I know that my squares are square because that's how I made them. So what I'm going to do is lay these so I can do the three-sided. And I made the blocks 10 inches to start with. I do not know why I cannot get my throat clear. I'm so sorry, guys. But I made them 10 inches to start with, figuring that they would shrink some. And I was going to do 8.5 inches. Make sure that all comes off of there. But then after I got to looking at the blocks, I thought, no, 9 works fine. And they didn't shrink up past the 9 mark, so that's not bad. Oh, Sherlock, you're so sweet. Well, I'm using a 9-inch ruler to square up my blocks. And I have the 12-inch, but I wasn't really planning on using it. Just kind of eyeballing to make sure all my dragon eyes stay in the center. I set it down. I gotta close it, right? And anybody out there who doesn't know, what I'm using is a Martelli rotary cutter. And I really like the Martelli. I have arthritis real bad, in case there's anybody in the chat who's never been here before and has never heard me sing the praises of my Martelli. But there are 2 people in the chat who don't like them. Neither Dawn nor Colleen really likes it. Oh, you can listen, you can lurk there, Dawn. I don't have a problem with it. We love lurkers. My big concern with this whenever I started doing it was I wasn't sure where in the block the embroidery would land, because it was my first time creating my own pattern, and it seems to have done quite well for me. Thank goodness. I did that on the live yesterday or the day before. Embroidered the blocks and stuff. Well, I guess it was yesterday. I get that whole corner. Hey, Tracy. She got distracted. Yeah, I'm going to move you guys. I feel like I'm ignoring you over there. Let's see how far it will let me move you. Lori's playing Colleen today. Trying to get it so you guys can see my face instead of the side of my head or look in my ear. Oh, that didn't help a whole lot, did it? Is that a little better? The camera's kind of got a mind of its own here. Yeah, that should be. So what is everybody else working on tonight? I know that Colleen is painting her nails, so she's not getting too much in the productive arena done. Because you can't, you got to let them dry. I did mine earlier today while Wayne was out of town. He had to go to the doctor and do a couple other things. So he took care of that stuff. He picked up, I went ahead and made our grocery order today since he was going to town. And so that's all taken care of for the weekend. So he gets a day off tomorrow. He doesn't have to go anywhere. He may want to, but you know, he doesn't have to. Just swinging with the camera. It has been a while since we just got to kind of sit and visit. Seems like every time I've been on lately, I've been, got to get this done, got to get this done. And tonight I was like, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do this. And I'm not in a hurry to finish it. I mean, I want to get it done, but it's not like it has to be done right this minute so that I can give it away tomorrow or anything. So this is a nice relaxing way for me to get to visit with the friends. Potty training for the puppy. It's so worth it, Lori, even if it seems like it's a long, drawn out process right now while you're doing it. And I think that they learn better than toddlers most of the time. I probably shouldn't say that where there's mothers and grandmothers around, but dogs seem to get it faster than kids do. Of course, most of us don't rub our kids' noses in it or give them treats when they do potty right. And actually, I can't really say that about all kids. My older son was a little bit hard to potty train, but my younger one, I didn't even have to mess with it because I came home one day and I hear all the boys. Well, I was outside hanging up laundry. I wasn't gone, but I hear little boys in my bathroom, and my oldest son had his younger brother and his even younger cousin in the bathroom, and they were having Cheerios races. They had put Cheerios in the potty and were using their wee to drive the Cheerios around. So those, yeah, they were all pretty much potty trained by the end of that session. My sister was like, Alex hasn't peed a diaper in days. He keeps wanting to go to the bathroom. I said, yeah, you can thank Joe for that. And of course, once they're pee trained, then the rest of it follows fairly easily for boys. I don't know about for girls. I've never potty trained a girl. And truthfully, I'd rather potty train 5 boys than a girl. And I think that's about how many I have potty trained is 5. Your daughter did great, but your son was hard. Huh. Yes, we don't want Puppy to go to doggy jail. And that is a busy day. And that was actually Doggy's second trip to the doggy doctor, right? It seems like that at 8 months old, the people you got her from would have potty trained her themselves. But who knows? Not my place to judge. People do weird things. You need a vacation from this dog? One of these has a glitch in it, one of these pieces of fabric. I didn't catch it till I was doing the embroidery work. And when I was doing the embroidery work, I'd already put down two of the pieces before I saw the little glitch. So I couldn't just move the stuff over it. And so I figured I'd just cut it out when I got to this point. But now I haven't seen it yet. And it's this this is a white on white. It's got like little bubbles all over it. And it looks like they glitched when they put the bubble on it somewhere. So there's just a little bit of extra bubble. Yeah, once we got them to the P train stage, they didn't want their butts dirty at all. It was like, nope. And I also cheated and I bought my kids superhero undies. Anybody remember Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers? I got one of them got Ninja Turtles and one of them got Power Rangers at different times. They were 4 years apart, so there was a little time in between potty training son 1 and son 2. But then I made a big deal if they got the Power Ranger or the Ninja Turtle dirty. And of course, I gave them, I don't remember if it was M&Ms or cookies whenever they went to the bathroom properly. But they got that real quick. So I guess we did give ours treats like you would a puppy potty train them. I'm a terrible person. I bribed my kids. Don't care. It worked. My mother was like, you shouldn't do that. Well, you want to come potty train them? You're welcome to, Ma. I just wanted to quit using diapers. And I used cloth diapers most of the time. So I definitely wanted to quit using diapers. Cloth diapers are a whole different thing than disposables, because disposables you just put in a trash can or in a little baggie and put it in the trash can. Cloth diapers, you still have to rinse out whatever's in there and blah, blah, blah. And I was tired of doing that. I think we're going to go down a little bit there, because I've got a munch at the corner of this block at the top. Just a little like glitch in the corner. I must not have noticed when I cut my blocks out. Anybody else do that? Let's just adjust. We'll just cut away the error. Oh, yeah. That stinks, Lori. I'm really glad you got her out of the doggy store. The other thing that happened when I started changing baby diapers is I quit biting my fingernails. I was not putting my hands in my mouth after having them in the toilet or in among a dirty diaper. And I was pretty crunchy granola back then, as my college professor used to call it. Kids got, homemade, home cooked food. Even when they started eating solid food, it was still all homemade. I had a food grinder. So I ground up whatever we were eating, and that's what they got to eat once they were past the, you've got to make sure they're not allergic to stuff stage. And I breastfed my kids and I used cloth diapers. And it turns out my younger son was allergic to everything. And so when he started eating like food at school and stuff, like preschool, he would come home and have asthma attacks really bad. And when I started packing his lunch again for preschool, he went better. Oh, hi, Lynn. I know it's late in the day for you or early in the morning. 5 hours plus. It's 8 o'clock. You're up at 1 o'clock in the morning, Lynn? Oh, my. You don't have to stay up that late to visit with me. I just kind of decided to do a impromptu live tonight because I was in the sewing room working on this anyway. And I thought, well, let's go ahead and go live and chit chat. Party like a quilter, as Colleen says. All right, so there's all of those squared up. And I squared them all to 9 inches. And I have to keep that number in my head because the next step is to cut my sashing and my little blocks that I want. And I think I figured out that I need 16 cornerstones. And I want to do 2.5 inches on this. Which way's wider? And I was watching somebody the other day cut fabric, and I thought, am I doing this backwards? I think I am, actually. I'm going to line my square corner up over there. And why 2.5 inches? Because 2 inches would probably work better since this is a baby quilt. Well, my scrap bin has 2.5 inch blocks in it. And if I cut more 2.5 inch blocks than I need, or more 2.5 inch strips than I need, then I can just put them in my scrap bin and use them. Because I'm not the math expert around here. That would be Miss Colleen. I leave mathing up to her. When I do this stuff, I'm just kind of like, okay, here we are. Oh my, your daughter was even allergic to ivory? Well, my older son had a couple of rounds of yeast infections where we had to just literally like leave him laying in the sun with no diaper on for him to heal up. And I don't know if it was the water or the soap or something else, but I was really glad that I cloth diapered then. And then when number 2 came along, we weren't any richer than we were with number 1. So number 2 got cloth diapered as well. And hanging out cloth diapers in Oklahoma in the winter is no fun. It was no fun at all. Let's see if these little bits are wide enough for me to get anything out of. No, I said I was not going to math. I'm not that good at it. That's your job. You were mathing for me earlier. Trying to help me figure out something, I think. Not quite 2.5. So they can't be used in the quilt, but this is a batik, but it seems to have a lighter and a darker side. So I kind of want the darker side up, but they're also an ombre batik. I've never heard of Baby's Own, I don't think. Some of these I can't tell which side's up and which side's down, so I'm just choosing the one I like. Yes, you have. Pretty, pretty. You didn't miss it when you mathed. You got it. I don't know why I'm choosing sides. I probably will not remember to use the sides. So now I have to think. I need 2 for each of 16 blocks. So I need 32. Right? So I need 32 2.5 by 9-inch strips, right? And if I've got a 40-inch wide fabric, I can get 4 pieces. So 4 goes into 32. Is that 8 times? Is that right? If it's not, somebody tell me, because I'm about to cut 8 strips of this fabric. And I do have more of the yellow if I end up needing more squares. Let's see if I can do this without messing up the camera. All right, so here's my black. And I went to all the trouble to fold it earlier. And I ironed it the other day. I'm trying to get it straight so that I don't end up with a crooked line anywhere. Eight times 4 equals 32. Thank you. I don't know why you scratched making it. It was only shown to you so you would, because I thought it was a cool coincidence that she was doing a carpenter's star at the same time you were. And so what I'm going to do, nobody scream at me off screen. I have a tiny little space to work with. So I'm going to improvise and adapt. It may be a Canadian product, Tracy. That one I've never heard of. And of course, I haven't kept up in the some number of years since I had a baby at home. Mine are a little older than yours are. So I'm just giving myself a straight edge. Oh, I didn't close it. I'm a bad kid. I learned a song in grade school, Tracy, that goes pounds and ounces, inches and yards, inches and feet do not new requirements meet. And they were trying to teach us the metric system. So I know a little tiny bit about the metric system, but not a lot. And to my knowledge, they are no longer teaching that song in school. But I can remember getting that in math class every year for 2 or 3 years anyway. And I'm cutting a double layer here, so I'm going to get 2 strips at a time. And I'm using my ruler as my measuring tool, not my mat. If anybody has any questions on that, why it's crooked. Mine are 37. And I guess the other one will be 33 this year. Yeah. He was born in 90. So mine are a wee bit older than yours. I don't guess that's lots, but it's some. All right. Now that that's done, and you guys notice that my flourish found its way back across the room. It's no longer here. What did Jordan do to their block that was different than what you had planned, Colleen? Trying to get it to lay down flat without that ink in there. I'm trying to read the chat while we talk, guys. And if you need my attention, if you'll tag me at Practically Creative or tell one of the mods. A couple of them, I think most of my mods actually, have the ability to text me if I need to see something that I'm missing in the chat. And then the other thing is this. If I miss that you came in and you're acting like a troll or a fool, my mods, they don't have a problem with taking care of it. And I will back them 100%. So if that's all you're here for is to cause trouble, there's the door. I think we had this discussion a couple of days ago. What I'm trying to make sure of down here at these ends, I'm going to put these on the spinner so I can do this easier, is that I've got all the selvages where I can cut them out because I don't want those selvages in my block. Yeah, they did do their block pretty big from what I saw. And we'll do that this way. Okay, so I'm cutting like 8 layers here, so I want to make sure I get everything straight. All right. I know the math, but I also count because I don't trust myself. Anybody else do that, or am I the only dingy one that does that stuff? Trolls and fools. And see, I do have leftovers, but it's in a solid piece. So if I get desperate, and I'd have to be really desperate, I can sew these together for more of the little pieces, the sashing pieces. Hopefully we won't have to do that. That also tells me I can be more generous when I cut my selvage off. And see that little curve that showed up in there? Guess it folded itself out. Fine, you folded yourself out. That's good. So I can do something else. If that curve hadn't straightened out like it did, I would have gone ahead and cut past the curve and then cut the rest of my piece. Count 5 times, still do it wrong. And this isn't getting saved because it's those selvage ends, so I'm going to throw that away. Close your ruler. That's funny. All right, let's see how many of these I did get. Just so I know, I think it's 4 times 32, but my fingers don't like counting here. Okay, so I got enough. And the other selvage piece goes in the garbage. I'm going to stop and take a break and drink some agua. I don't see Sylvia. Okay, so you guys can see me. Wow, 45 minutes. That's not bad for getting all that cut and squared up. And the piece is ready to sew. You have a hard time. There's a little heart here and I cannot get it to move. I was like, okay, come on. The other reason I stopped is I'm thinking because originally I was going to do like turned the 4 different directions so that this little swirl was upright, down right, down left, up left. Oh, yeah. I'm thinking now I may just put them all in going one direction. Any thunks on that, anybody? Yeah, that is a terrible place for it. Because I have the 2 colors. And I need to finish this one because the next baby quilt that I've got to do I have to re-square my blocks because I squared my blocks to the same size as that ruler, and they need to be 9.5, not 10. So this is what it's supposed to look like, Colleen. That fabric is thin. I'm going to tilt you guys down. I'm going to pick you up. Don't get dizzy. That's not showing the color well. There's a yellow square in between all the blocks, and then black sashing. And all my squares are 10-inch instead of 9-inch. I have to re-square them. But because I cut the sashing at 9-inch. And I didn't realize it till I looked at it and went, So do I turn it so that all of the dragon eyes are turned the same direction? Or do I turn them so any direction for the eye? Thank you. This black sashing does. Well, at least I hadn't already cut or sewn anything together before I realized that I had boo-booed on that. So I knew there was something I wasn't thinking about. The way that I've got them, where they look like eyes. There's going to be 16 of them. Would it end up being spooky for a little kid? Is that me back in camera view for you? So that would mean I would have 2 sets of eyes side by side if I did that, with the black sashing in the middle, and then below it, and then there would be that yellow this way. So it's going to look like there's 8 sets of eyes in the quilt to me. That doesn't mean a little kid will ever see that, but yeah, it's actually being made for a baby. Someone saw the block and said they really liked it, so. I don't believe I did that to those blocks. It's an easy fix, and we are going to fix it. Because, of course, I have to. I'm not a perfectionist. I just don't want this to be wrinkly. I don't want it to look like it got all wrinkled up. So that's what we're going to do here. All right, so I should have thought when I was using that square up ruler, wait a second. But I did not. I want to square up where I've got the most white left over. It's what happens when you sew on camera. You make boo-boos, right? And now it's alive. I thought I cut my blocks 9 inches too, but what I used was that 9-inch ruler. I cut them 10 to start with so that I'd have extra room. And then I did that 9-inch ruler, and I was thinking that that was a 9-inch square. It's actually 10 because the 9-inch ruler makes or cuts for a 9-inch finished block. So yeah, that's how I ended up with that mess up. The things you have to remember, and I didn't. So now I'm making them a 9-inch block, and they will end up 8.5 inches finished. And I cut all my sashings at 9 inches, so I can't add that half or that other inch in there without seaming things, and I don't want to seam. Does that make sense? Yeah, I cut them 10 to start with. And the bubble has whatever the number of inches you put down there covered. And the computer is behind me, and my eyes in the back of my head aren't working. They're trying to help Sylvia out. Or they got retired when the kids grew up, one or the other. This mat, though, makes it really easy to fix this, which is good. And yeah, that's true, Colleen. Until you've made a big boo-boo on alive, it's not really alive. Yeah, Lori, it's what happens on Friday nights, right? We're going to party like a quilter, but we're going to make mistakes like one too. That's okay, though. We face it. That'll be some chipmunk voice for Dawn there. Dawn will be like, what are you doing? At least it doesn't mean seam ripping. It made sense to the nail polish fumes. Okay. The nice thing about it is they're already squared up, so I just have to cut that 1/2 inch off on where I have the wider amount of white, which saves me some hassle. Why are you confused? By the size of my blocks? I originally was planning on 8.5 inch blocks finished. But I cut because I didn't know how much shrinkage there would be with the embroidery and the heat and bond. I cut 10 inches to give myself wiggle room. And when I was squaring up earlier, I was using a 9-inch ruler, right? Well, then I cut the wrong measurement on my sashing. I should have cut it at 9.5. But anyway, so the sashing is cut at 9 inches. So my blocks need to be cut to 9 inches. And then when it's all finished, it'll be an 8.5 inch block. It still comes out to the same thing. Does that make sense? But when I trimmed my blocks earlier, I trimmed them using a 9-inch ruler. And that 9-inch ruler is actually 10 inches because it has seam allowance included in the ruler. Tracy, don't feel bad. It makes some kind of sense to me. So that's what I'm working off of. And if I mess it up, then I mess it up. But I don't think I have. Just trying to make sure that everything fits together properly when I get down to putting this quilt top together, which may not happen on this live tonight. Plus, minus, divide, ponder, 20 grapes. You got it. And I see all kinds of comedians talking about word problems from grade school. And they're like, oh, well, first of all, who needs 32 watermelons at one time? And I think, well, it depends. Are you a quilter? Do you have a big family? I could see my family needing 32 watermelons at one time. But that's partly because we're going to spike half of them. So, you got to have some watermelons the kids can have, and then you'll take your pocket knife and you're going to carve a W or a J or whatever on the outside. If you like Elsa and let it go. Y'all ain't been to a Southern family reunion, you can tell. That was my thought on word problems. You got a truckload of pinto beans. We got good eating. Let's go. That's how my family would look at it. I don't think they teach that kind of higher math in Kentucky, though. In Kentucky, it's going to be, if you need tomatoes to get you through the winter, how many tomato plants you got to plant if you're going to get 20 tomatoes off each plant? That's the kind of word problem you got to figure out up there. Or here at my house, because, I can stuff. Vodka melon slushies. Yes, doesn't that sound good? I went to many, many years ago, and I am not dissing the JCs in any way, shape, or form before I say this. But we went to state convention, and I don't know what I was thinking, but one of the guys that was there was from our group, good friend of mine, Jeff Pasula. Don't even know where he's at these days. But we're standing by this big, huge cooler that's filled with fruit and alcohol. And I didn't want to drink all that alcohol because, I didn't want to get drunk. So he's like, oh, well, you can have fruit. You can have fruit. So he's like scooping out fruit into a cup for me. And after about a cup and a half of that fruit, I looked at him and said, wait a minute, isn't the fruit where all the alcohol settles? And he's like, yep. I was like, okay. So yeah, after that, I learned that, Jeff was not the person to help with your sobriety. I'm not an alcoholic or any of that, but I really didn't want to get plastered that night because we were like, at this big convention with all the high muckety mucks. So much for that plan. We had a blast. My aunt was with me. We all had a really fun time. Them were the days. We ran haunted houses for the JCs. That's what we did most of the time. Tore them up, put them back together, built them. Scared the believers out of people. Please guard your privacy carefully. After I tell y'all about me getting fed all that fruit and getting plastered. But we had fun. That was the idea. Work hard, play hard. And if you guys have ever been in any of those organizations, you know that that is the absolute truth. Some of the hardest working people you ever met. Oh yeah, I was, I was Tracy. It wasn't funny at the time. I guess it is now. I should have just cut the blocks 8.5 to start with and been done with it. And then I wouldn't be in this predicament right now. But this is why you do things where you sit and chat. You guys can laugh at me. 10 years from now, we'll still be laughing at Melissa cutting her blocks too big. But at least I didn't cut them too small. I mean, that would have been really sad. Then I'd be sitting here going, no, what do I do? I could fix it, I know, but still. All right, so the second round of trimming those blocks didn't take as long as the first one. There's a positive. It is hot in this room. Anybody else notice that? All right. Cutter is closed. Now let's try this again. Let's see what we get. Because if they won't lay out right, then that's just not cool. Okay, so that fits the way I want it to fit. See, they match now. And then I've got my little yellow dots. You're delicate, you want the AC on high? I like them better when they turn. I really do. Yeah, White Russians do go down. I've always preferred drinks that you didn't taste the alcohol in, and White Russians do go down well. They definitely do. All right. If you repeat the Chloe, are a bad kid. You are a bad kid. Okay. You guys see me okay? I still have my 1/4-inch foot on here. Straight stitch, we're at about a 3. Make sure that I've got, yep, okay, good. Now this is the easy part, is piecing it all together. At least I think it is. We've done all the cutting and everything else. Now it should just flow right together. Just like it was meant to be. Lori's an angel. Are you trying to convince someone you're a delicate flower, Colleen? I think that's my favorite thing from Xena ever. It's her standing there in full warrior armor after kicking somebody's butt and going, I'm a delicate flower. Yeah, right. I subscribe to Jenny Doan's theory, where she says if you have a piece that's just a hair longer than the other piece, you put the longer one on the bottom because your feed dog will carry it through. I agree with that 100%. And I am pressing, well, I'm finger pressing towards the black. Ain't that the truth there, Tracy? Your friends definitely do know ya. Tracy told me the other day that she starts laughing because she can hear the hillbilly coming. When I start doing my memories from Appalachia. And I have to agree with her because I can hear it coming too. And there's nothing I can do about it. Took me a lot of years to get that out of my normal everyday speech. But that's only because I listen to everybody else around me talk. But it for sure comes back when I start talking about Kentucky or talking to anybody in Kentucky. When I talk to my family up there, the accent and the vernacular come back quickly. Because it is a whole different language up there. Matter of fact, I was talking to Lori and Colleen earlier about some of the cooking and stuff we did up there. Never. Is that you never hear my Kentucky accent? That would be bull hockey because you do. I don't talk to you on the phone as much as I do Lori and some other people, but yeah, it's there. And I was telling them that I had learned how to cook some stuff when I was really young. And back when I ran my own business, I ran it out of my house. So my employees came to my house a lot. And every once in a while, their husband would come by or something. And I had collard greens on the stove one day. Big pot of them cooking because I love vegetables. All right, so here's the first row. Anyway, I love vegetables and I would make collard greens and then eat them over the course of a couple of weeks. And he helped himself to a bowl of them. And he had the nerve to come out the door of my house with a bowl of my collard greens in his hand and asked me which one of my neighbors was black and made them collard greens for me. And I just looked at him and said, ain't nobody made them collard greens for me. I made them. He went to work bragging to his coworkers that he met a white woman who could cook collard greens and they wouldn't believe him. Well, that's their problem, not mine. I learned how to cook collard greens young. And of course, I come from a place where every meal, I don't care if you're making tuna fish, every meal starts with a stick of butter and a tube of sausage. The next row of this quilt is sashing strips with the cornerstones in them. So I'm making a row for that, and then I'll put those on there. And then I'll show it to you guys so you can see where my brain is going with this. That's 1, 2. And I'm still looking at this yellow batik going, which side is brighter every time I pick one up. And I know I could like chain piece these and do all 3 rows at once, but that ain't how I'm doing it today. 1, 2, I need one more. I did not, well, no, I didn't use fatback. We used lard a lot, and we used lard out of pails a lot, and I think that lard out of pails was mostly homemade. And I know of at least once that one of my aunts had to go buy a pail of lard. I can remember her having a fit because it was like $5 for the pail, about how expensive it was. And that's why she liked using her own homemade lard. And I have no clue what a pail of lard would cost if you went to buy one today. I don't even know if they still sell them. Ooh, there we are. And it's probably a bucket of lard, but I always call them pails, because that's what I grew up calling them. And lard appears in everything. If we didn't have sausage, yeah, we'd use lard. Lard was used for biscuits. And it was used in the place of what most people would probably put Crisco in now. So if you grew up using Crisco instead of lard, it's the same thing basically. I still want to know where they get vegetable shortening from. I know where lard and fat comes from, but what do they use to make vegetable shortening? 8 pounds, $21 at Walmart. Oh yeah, heart attack in a pan. That's exactly what it is. But that's what I grew up eating. And I swear, every time I've ever helped cook a meal in Appalachia, almost everything, stick of butter, tube of sausage, or a pound of sausage. That's how much is in a tube. People who don't raise pigs anymore usually use the store-bought pound, but you know, some people still raise pigs. We haven't raised any in the past couple of years, but we do. And y'all may notice that I did not hem here because I like I drive Colleen crazy because I get too close to the needle for her piece of vine. But I like feeling that the seam has nested. And quite honestly, pens are hard on my hands. They really are. Because especially the ones that have little heads on them, it's hard for me to pick them up and put them down. I think it was in a live, I don't even remember if it was a live or if I was pre-recording something. But in that, I was trying to pick up some pens off the bed of the sewing machine. And I ended up having to get the magnetic bowl to pick up the pens so that I could manipulate them. Because I couldn't pinch my fingers together to get the pens. Clips work really well, but I don't have clips sitting here. So I didn't think about it. So I'm just going to stretch and manipulate till they do what I want. Now I knew that some seeds had oil. I did. But I don't see how you I don't understand. I know there's petroleum involved somehow. All right, so here we are. I haven't ironed it. I just finger pressed it down a little bit. But there's the first row. Hope you guys can all see that. With the black back and with the black sashing and the yellow cornerstones. And that's the first row. I've got 4 more to put together. And I didn't put sashing pieces on the end because I'm going to put a black border all the way around. And I won't put sashing pieces on the top or the bottom row. Like so above here, I won't put sashing there unless I decide to do a different color border around the edge, and I don't have enough of any of these batiks to make it a border. So, and I don't have enough of that yellow, although I have another yellow here that's similar. I don't know if I have enough for that border either. And that's absolutely my own pattern. Well, mine and Wayne's. Wayne designed the shapes and I put the design together. And so then I didn't have to worry about accidentally stepping on anybody else's copyright for graphics or anything. Grandma taught you how to cook or how to sew? Oh, she taught you how to sew. So you use a craft knife or a razor blade. I usually end up using my scissors these days. Not because I'm too good for a seam ripper or anything, but because these little surgical snip scissors have they squeeze and then come apart, and they're easier for me to use. Like I use these too, but these are a little harder for me to manipulate. And if my hands are hurting, I can't do them at all. That's also why I like these scissors, because I can squeeze them and they open back up. And the only time I have to really manipulate anything is to lock them back shut. And these are the oldest pair of scissors I own. They actually have a little dab of rust on them, I think. But these are when Fiskars were well made. I bought another pair of them from Amazon and they broke. I'm like, ah. So I've already sent them back to try to get a replacement. I haven't gotten my replacement yet. Yes, Colina's perfect. She never makes errors when she sews. She does an absolutely fantastic job all by herself. You actually made yourself laugh. You almost made me laugh out loud. I'm just like, I like the colors though. They seem, springy and they're just boy enough. Does that make sense? And if it turns out that the baby suddenly turns into a girl instead of a boy, I can wrap this one up and give it to somebody else. Exactly. Well, that's what you did. Well, that's what we still do in this house as much as possible. Reduce, reuse, recycle. And yeah, I mean, we ordered, because of the kidney stone, I've been trying to drink more juice because, like, cranberry juice and pomegranate juice. Well, the other day I had myself a coffee cup full of cranberry juice, and within a few minutes I was ready to go to the bathroom. And I thought, well, I can't drink that straight. So now I put some cranberry juice and then some ice and then a whole bunch of water. And it works just the same as it would if I drank it straight, but it works better in my tummy. You appreciate the straight face attempt. All right, guys. Does anybody have any questions? Do you guys want to hang out longer? I'm just kind of like, I'll keep sewing. So that's where I'm at. But I'm having fun. I need to start using my Facebook group more too. I need to start having you guys put pictures in there for me so I can share them when we're live. I don't know if I liked Friday nights, but I think it was kind of nice tonight since everybody's basically chilling at home around here. Yeah, straight face attempt. And I see there's 8 of you watching. I'm surprised. It's a lot of people. I appreciate it. Well, of course you want to hang out till 2 or 3 in the morning, Tracy. You're hilarious. I love you. All right, so I want to go here. 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 Got to figure out how I'm supposed to be turning these. You're here for the party. I just don't want anybody going, it has 2 hours, because that's where we're at almost. It's been 2 hours. Why is she still alive? Why am I still here? You don't have to hang out as long as I hang out. I just was wanting to make sure that I'm not overstaying my welcome, folks. And what I did on the second row was I alternated the color. So the top row, the first block had purple in it for that big piece. So on the second row, I'm using a one that has green, and I turned it a quarter turn from where the one above it is. And then I went across the row and alternated the colors and kept turning. Night, Lori. You have a great night too. Sleep well. Sure, I will talk to you in the morning. So I'm just putting my little blockies together. Jordan, yay! I'm glad to see you back. Did you finish what you were working on? I'm still working on mine. I made another boo-boo. I don't know if you were listening while you were gone or not, but I made a boo-boo on my size of my blocks. So I had to retrim my squares, which is fine. It worked out. I had to fix it before I could do the next step, though. I've got one row of block sewn and one row of sashing. So I'm working on row number 2. You feel like Norm on Cheers? No, that's fine. This is definitely not a regularly scheduled anything. I just, like I said, I was sitting here going, I'm going to make this. And I thought I may as well just do a live and hang out with the friends, see what was going on. Dawn, do you cook with lard or fatback or any of that? We were talking about that a little bit. We'll talk about Southern. Dawn is Southern, or should be. I mean, if she was raised in Texas. And yes, I know raised has 3 sentences in it. Well, get yourself a drink then, Dawn. I don't work with my sewing machine or any of my sewing tools if I take pain medication or if I drink. But you are more than welcome to drink and sit in the live if you want. I mean, as long as you're not a mean drunk or anything. If you're a mean drunk, then please don't. But I kind of have a feeling you get funny. Raised in the Midwest? Okay. Well, I was raised in Kentucky and West Virginia and then Florida. So I was definitely raised Southern. I lived in Oklahoma City for 9 years when I was first married and having my kids. Then I came back to Florida. So I've never lived anywhere really, never lived anywhere northern for sure. And the closest I got to Midwestern was Oklahoma, and I don't think that's considered really Western as much as it is considered. I love that song, Colleen. Alabama. I had to make sure I had all my blocks in the right order before I put the next one together. And I actually want to start sewing at the other end for 2 reasons. One is it keeps things from warping, and 2, it lets me manipulate those little squares better. And then the other question I have for everybody in the chat is this. How old were you when you learned to sew? And who taught you? Are you self-taught? Did you learn from YouTube? Did a family member teach you? I'm always interested in that because how How young were you when the family members started teaching you? And did you want to learn or did they make you learn? Because I started learning how to cook when I was way younger than I probably should have been. I know I was cooking full meals by the time I was 8 or 10 at the oldest for the whole family. And that was partly self-preservation because they loved to bring in random food and tell me it was chicken. And I'm talking about stuff like squirrel, raccoon, snake, deer. Oh yeah, that's chicken. Well, that doesn't look like any piece of chicken I ever saw. And you a squirrel breast that's, 2 inches tall. Oh yeah, that's chicken. That ain't chicken. Them little bones is tiny. That's not chicken, that's squirrel. Oh no. And then after you get done with dinner and you've eaten it, because of course that's what was on your plate, you were going to eat it. Then they all got great fun out of telling you, yeah, you just had squirrel for dinner. Screw you. I mean, couldn't say that to an adult, but just tell me up front. I'll eat it because I know I'm hungry otherwise. But don't lie to me about what's on my plate. It's kind of funny to me because Wayne was raised in Florida, which technically makes him a Southern boy, but he was raised in Miami, which basically makes him a Mexican boy or a Hispanic boy. He's fluent in Spanish and he knows all the Spanish food because that's, the area he grew up in. There was a lot of Spanish people. So when he experiments with food, he experiments with Hispanic flavors. Whereas when I experiment with food, I experiment with, putting more than salt and pepper in it. That's funny. I see the Song of the South is being sung. Self-taught on Barbie. Yeah, that's the first thing I said was Barbie clothes. All right, so here it is with 2 rows in it. I think it's starting to look okay. And there's 2 more rows to go, and then the outside border. So that ought to make a decent sized baby quilt. My mommy went to jail more than once, but didn't have anything to do with gigging frogs. Yeah, they fed you that stuff, Colleen. They fed you frogs, deer, and squirrel, and whatever else, because that's what was there. You didn't know you could play the fiddle? And you got to say it like that. There is no G at the end of giggin. She's right. Colleen put giggin, Giggin. That's exactly how you spell it. I'm pretty sure at least one of my uncles went to jail for fishing with dynamite. I don't know that for sure, but I can just see it happening. I wasn't any good at it either. We had horses too. We had plastic horses. Well, my cousin had plastic horses. I had time to play with them when I was at Granny's house. And she didn't like it that I played with them when I was at Granny's house. And I finally got my own horse with a doll, with a cowboy hat, all that good stuff. And as soon as everybody's back was turned, that one got claimed by my cousin as well. So I didn't get it. Yeah, well, I don't always talk like I spell or spell like I talk. I try to bring myself back to I sound like I have some education. But that is why, like, when I talk about food, it's sketty, it's sandwiches. It's not, I can say sandwiches and spaghetti, but those are the words that in my head sound better for those foods. So, yeah. Yeah, my Barbie had a shoebox for a bed, for a house, and she had a dread spool to sit at as a chair. And I don't even know, a little box I must have cut down or something that I used as her table. But of course, she never, her legs were always sticking straight out because they didn't make bendable Barbie legs. Yes, my cousin was a thief. She was not a thief. She was just spoiled. She was like the only child until she was 10. And then her mother had another kid, and that was poor little girl. She just, her whole world was rocked. And he's grown now, obviously. But I can remember when he came home, she was just like, what is that? And why does it get to take my mommy's attention? Because she was definitely used to being mommy and daddy's little girl. So I'm sure she's sweet. They were, both the kids were, I know she was, I'm not sure about her little brother, but she was albino. She was super pale, with super light eyes that almost looked pink in the dark. And I'm sure she grew up to be absolutely beautiful and got colored contacts and stuff. But I remember thinking how pale she looked ghost-like to me when I was a kid. But you could always find her because whenever we were all outside playing on Grandpa and Grandma's farm, she glowed. I mean, you know, her little white hair was like, here's the sun. So yeah, and I have no idea where she's at these days. I have so many cousins and stuff that I'm just like, keeping track of everybody is tough. Okay, I am going to say good night since it's like 20 till 10 and I've done the 2 rows. I can either start another one or I can get off of here, and I'm going to say good night because I need more water. And I just saw lights get turned out there. So I think Wayne must be getting ready to go to sleep too. Yeah, I tried Barbie doll clothes patterns after I was grown. I'll keep making them. I made mine by hand, obviously, but I tried them after I was grown, and they're hard. Them patterns are hard. Let me turn the camera around here so at least we're. Hello. I think I nailed thread. You're very welcome. I'm glad you guys all showed up and hung out with me. I had fun. Got a lot of progress done on that quilt, so I should be able to finish the top tomorrow and maybe quilt it this weekend because it needs to be done pretty quickly. And you shared everybody's links, Colleen? All right. If you're watching replay, Sylvia says, be kind to others, not because they're kind, but because you are. Colleen says, be the light you hope to see in others. And I've added on, or be a Molotov cocktail. And I say, if anybody's close enough to your stuff to look at it and criticize it, tell them to go home. Oh, yeah, if they're even 3 inches. Those seams were tiny on Barbie clothes. All right, guys, I love y'all. Have a great night. And I will see you Monday, if not sooner. Bye.